Hey guys, Andrew Strout here in the sideboard. I'm here with Josh Taylor. How's it going, Josh?
It's going good.
You have shown up to this tournament with an oldie, but a goodie.
True, yep.
You're playing like a mono-white stacks deck, basically. Angel Prison is what we're calling this deck.
Yeah, that's what they used to call it back when it used to run smokestacks. I think things have changed a little bit, though.
Yeah, so first of all, tell us how you ended up playing this deck.
Okay. So I got this deck from my good buddy, Gerard Fabiano.
Sure.
You guys might know him. He just won Grand Prix Baltimore and second place at the Star City Games Players Championship. Gerard's been known to play some weird decks in his day.
It's an understatement, but...
Yeah.
Sure.
When I showed up today, I didn't originally plan on playing. I don't play much Legacy. This is my third Legacy tournament. But he said, Josh, I have a deck for you, and you have to play it. I opened up the deck and looking through it, scrolling through it, was this mono-white deck. And it looked a little weird. It looked a little kooky. And I wasn't sure what to do, but now I'm 4-1, and I'm happy I decided to play it.
All right. Gerard can be very persuasive, right?
Yes. He definitely is.
Yeah, so the core of the deck is basically the kind of the disruptive artifact package. Chalice of the Void, Trinisphere, and Sphere of Resistance.
Yeah. Those cards are a lot different than your usual disruption spells. Most decks rely on cards like Thoughtseize or Inquisition to get cards out of your opponent's hand. But in a field like this, I feel like there's so much card draw in the field that discard isn't the disruption you want. Instead, with everybody having these light mana bases, you want to be pressing their mana with cards like Sphere of Resistance and Trinisphere.
Right.
They let you get your advantage incrementally throughout the game.
This definitely seems like a field where having those artifacts, like there aren't a lot of decks that can just ignore those. You know?
Right.
You have a lot of decks that are trying to cast a lot of cheap cantrips.
Yeah.
A lot of combo decks.
Cost spells. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have slightly more permanent disruption than just that. You have actually some permanents that cause some trouble for those creature decks as well.
Yeah, I do.
4 Ghostly Prison.
Yeah, very.
How's this card been for you?
When I first looked at the deck, it was one of the questionable cards for sure when I was scrolling through it. I thought, man, what impact is this actually going to have in Legacy, you know? This is a card last time I played it was a Kamigawa draft, so that was the last time I saw it.
Exactly.
So I'm like, Gerard, what are you doing? Anyway, give him the benefit of the doubt. A couple rounds later, Ghostly Prism's good.
All right.
It was one way to shut off a true name nemesis for me, but I had no other way to interact with. I had 3 Ghostly Prisms in play against a blue-white-red Delver deck who, a little land light, I had a Wasteland here and there. He only got up to 4 or 5 lands, and it helped stave that off, gave me a couple extra draw steps. Against a deck like the blue-red Delver deck, they mass such a large amount of army that you're able to narrow it down to them being able to attack with 1 or 2 creatures.
Right.
So it's very good against that. Other Delver strategies is good. Mid-range decks that run probably between 12 to 18 creatures, I think it has a lot of impact against.
And then I just watched you play against an Omniscience, like a show and tell deck.
Yeah.
And your 2 Banishing Lights. Yeah, I saw you actually get the Banishing Light off of show and tell.
Yeah.
You lived the dream there.
Yeah, I kind of did. That was one of the reasons why I kept a land-heavy opening hand against that matchup, because the Banishing Light actually, when somebody goes for show and tell, it just completely counteracts show and tell, and they're investing so much to get to that show and tell that they've already wasted all their resources by the time you would drop your 1 Banishing Light to counteract their 5 different things.
And then just to clean things up, 1 Wrath of God and 1 Cataclysm.
Yeah. The Wrath of God, it's another answer to True Name Nemesis, Blue-Red Delver, anything like that. It's just able to wipe the board. Cataclysm's a little different. Not a straight Wrath of God. They're allowed to keep 1 creature, but it plays in line with the Trinisphere and the Sphere Resistance because everybody only keeps 1 land from Cataclysm. So it helps play ball with those, and at the same time, it can help with those big creature decks that have a lot of creatures, narrow that down to 1 creature or so.
All right.
Ghostly Prism is another card that interacts very well with.
Yeah.
You get them down to 1 land, and then they just can't attack unless they have more land.
Can't attack with the 1 creature they kept.
Yeah.
All right. So this deck wins. You have 4 Stoneforge Mystic. The card is not news. People have been winning with Stoneforge Mystic a long time.
Nothing new there.
Yeah. No, we call the deck Angel Prison because you've got 3 Baneslayer Angels.
I do.
And actually a little bit more spice on top of that. But let's start with these Baneslayer Angels. How good has that card been for you?
It's been very good for me. I played against a Sneak and Show deck, and they dropped a Gristlebrand, and I didn't even realize it until somebody pointed it out to me later.
Sure.
Baneslayer Angel has protection from demons.
A little flavor text there.
It's just a little one of the little nips of the card that you wouldn't think right away, but actually really relevant to a game.
Right.
Being able to play a 5 cast and cost 5/5 in a deck like this, it's not too overcosted to the point where you don't want to cast something like that, but with cards like Sphere Resistance putting you off.
Sure.
It's going to cost just enough and be just big enough of a threat that it's like perfect for this deck.
5 mana is like just the sweet spot. Where between of course you have Ancient Tombs and Mox Diamonds and all that anyway.
And all the abilities that have a really relevant First Strike, Lifelink. You know, those all go a long way, and anything on a creature goes a long way.
Just kind of bails you out of some binds.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. We'll talk about the sideboard real quick. I want to focus on a couple of cards that just seem kind of hateful.
Okay.
Yeah, like this deck is kind of built around just jamming a permanent into play that your opponent can't deal with.
Yeah.
In the main deck even. And out of the board, you've got some real intense ones. Now, we said mono white. You've got a very light white or green splash. You have 2 chokes in the board.
2 chokes, yes. a lot of Delver decks are floating around there. Blue-red Delver, blue-white-red Delver, Bug, Sneak and Show, Omnitel, Storm, just blue deck. Everybody wants to play blue, except for me. Choke keeps all their lands tapped.
Yeah.
What more could you want?
The game basically just ends.
They're only getting
if they're
one use
playing
out of their
islands.
cards.
Yeah.
They really have to it puts a strangle on their resources.
Sure.
For sure.
Rest in Peace, another like super hateful card, of course. A lot of decks
Treasure
can't beat
Cruise
that.
decks, Reanimate decks, anything graveyard oriented.
And then another card that it maybe doesn't seem quite as high impact at first glance, but I kind of put it in the same like hateful category. Timely Reinforcements.
Timely Reinforcements.
This card seems really good right now.
You know, there are random burn decks out there.
Yeah.
Again, the blue-red Delver deck, the blue-white-red Delver deck. These mid-range kind of aggro decks, kind of not. Some of them really aggro, but it just really 6 life and 3 tokens. It's just the resources that you get from a card like that is pretty vast for a format like Legacy. I feel
for sure. So what are you hoping to play against with this deck?
I'm hoping to play against, based on what I played against already, I would play against blue-red Delver all day.
All right.
Dropping a turn 1 Chalice against them, or a turn 1 Trinity Spear, or a turn 1 Spear Resistance even. It goes a long way to them doing nothing for a couple turns while you're able to set up and do what you want to do. I mean, if you get to a point where you can cast a Baneslayer against their deck,
all right. Yeah. So what do you think the Achilles heel is here? Like, what are you hoping not to play against?
What am I hoping not to play against? I don't want to play against creature-heavy decks.
All right.
The deck doesn't have a lot of main deck disruption for creatures right off the bat.
Okay.
So anything that's trying to flood the board with creatures while I'm playing these spells to offset what they're trying to do, if they're already dropping them while they're really cheap, they're pushing through that damage slowly but surely.
All right.
And I don't have the time to do it.
Of course, you do have Ghostly Prison, but
yeah,
I guess a lot of the
always
decks
draw that.
Yeah, and a lot of the decks that you're talking about, like Death and Taxes, Maverick, they have ways to get rid of the Ghostly Prison as well. Sure. All right. So we just finished round 5, I believe. So off to a 4-1 start. Pretty strong start. Thanks for sitting down, Josh.
Thank you.
Stick around. We've got plenty more coverage coming of the Legacy Open here in Philly.